So let's talk about functions. So what is a function? A function is just a relationship between x and y such that for every value of x, it has exactly one value in y. So what does that mean? It means that if you have a set x of numbers and a set y of numbers, any value in x will have exactly one value in y. It can be the same value in y, but x can never have two values for the same x. So you can never have two values of y for x. So let's go through these examples and figure out which ones are functions and which ones are not. So as a reminder, so let's draw this out as two sets, x and y. So we have this value 3, and it is going to map over to this value 4. Then we have a value 1. It's going to map over to a value 5. Then we have a value 2. It is also going to map to 4. And we have a value 5, which maps to a value 3. So looking at this, for every x that we have, there is only one value in y that it can have. We don't care that two x's share the same y value. All we care about is that each x can only produce one y. So 3 never produces 4 and a different number. If you put x as 3, it will always equal 4. So that's what a function is. So let's go through this other example. We have x and y. So we have a value 3. It is going to map over to this other value 3. Then we have a value 1, which maps over to a value 1. Then we also have 1 mapping to 2. And we have 4 mapping to 4. So here we see that the value 1 in x maps to two different values. So that means this is not a function. So we have that the first function f, it is a function, and g is not. So what if we're given a graphical representation instead? Well, we have something called the vertical line test. And what that means is if you draw a vertical line, or an imaginary vertical line, here I have an actual one, and you move it along the graph of the function, if it is a function, it will only touch the vertical line in one spot at a time. So you can see in this first one that as I move this line across, it only ever crosses the function once per time. Whereas if we bring it over to this blue ellipse, as we're going across, we see here that it's touching the ellipse up here and down here. So the ellipse is not a function because it touches the vertical line twice in one spot. So this is not a function, but this first one was. So then if we look down to a parabola, is a parabola a function? Well, if we move our vertical line across, we see that it's only ever touching our vertical line at one point at each time. So a parabola is a function. Let's bring it over to this function over here. And if we move it across, we see it is touching here and here. So it's touching twice. So it cannot be a function. So this purple one is not a function. So that's how you do the vertical line test. It's very visual. So what are some real life examples of functions? Well, if you look at people and their heights, every person has one height. You can't have more than one height. but every height is not unique. So however tall you are, there might be someone else that has the same height as you, but you cannot have more than one height. So this is called a one-to-many function. There's also functions called one-to-one functions, and that's something like a seat on a plane, where every person has exactly one seat, and every seat has exactly one person assigned to it.